The world's first great city was not destroyed by its enemies. It was burned by its own people. And not by accident, but deliberately, again and again. In this video, you will look at everything you own differently. It was thousands of years before the pyramids. In the heart of Europe, a magnificent civilization was rising. They rejected power and greatness by their own will. Every 70 years they knowingly set themselves on fire. So why would a civilization choose to erase itself? This is the story of Cucuteni, Trypillia. Enjoy watching. They had no kings. They had no slaves. Yet they possessed secrets we still cannot understand. They deliberately set everything they built ablaze. 7,000 years ago, humanity had only just begun to understand the wheel. The invention of writing was still centuries away. This place corresponds to what is now Ukraine, Romania, and Moldova. On this land, the people of Cucuteni, Trypillia began a silent revolution. To call them merely an archaeological culture would be like calling a masterpiece nothing more than a pile of paint. They breathed in harmony with the rhythm of nature. They shaped the earth like an artist. And for thousands of years they managed to live in peace. Now, picture this. Thousands of homes, arranged with geometric precision, stretching for kilometers. The walls of each house decorated with intricate spirals that seemed torn from dreams. No soldiers in the streets. No dungeons. No palaces. Only production, art, and a social bond we still cannot fully grasp. But this peaceful scene shattered the logic of the modern mind. When archaeologists first discovered these sites, they could not believe their eyes. Names like Talianki and Maidanetska may sound unfamiliar today, but in their time, they were among the largest settlements on Earth. Even before the famous city of Uruk in Mesopotamia, in Cucuteni, Trypillia, megacities housing tens of thousands of people had already been built. And yet, something was strange. Ancient history teaches us one simple rule. Where the population grows, chaos follows. But in Cucuteni, Trypillia, the population had already reached the tens of thousands, and still, everything was running remarkably well. So who was fighting the chaos? In the ancient world, chaos was stopped by a king. The king was protected by an army, and the army was fed by taxes. Hierarchy was the inevitable reality of civilization, and this is where it becomes truly interesting. Cucuteni, Trypillia shattered this rule. In excavations across these vast cities, not a single monumental temple, not a single royal tomb, not a single trace of massacre has been found. Which means that for thousands of years, no major war ever took place. There was no class division. Every home was almost the same size. This was one of the greatest utopias history has ever recorded. Power did not gather in one hand. Ambition was restrained by architecture. But what truly stunned archaeologists was not the grandeur of the cities. Something was missing. No traces of war. No mass graves. No weapons. There is no other society in history that grew this large and remained this silent. So what was their secret? In the 21st century, we are still fighting. How did the people we label as primitive manage to preserve peace? Perhaps the answer lies in their most terrifying tradition. Now, set aside that peaceful image in your mind. These people did something unthinkable every 60 to 80 years. They set their entire city on fire with their own hands, their homes, their belongings, their harvests, their precious ceramics. This was not an accident. This was not an enemy attack. How do we know? Archaeological evidence shows that these fires were planned, controlled, and meant for total destruction. Thousands of homes turned into a single colossal torch at the same time. The sky was covered in ash for weeks. The ground wrapped itself in a hardened armor of baked clay. Why? Why would a society reduce to ashes the home it spent years building, decorating every corner with art? Modern science stands helpless before this question. Some experts believe it was a cleansing ritual, a radical solution to protect themselves from disease. Others think it was a form of religious sacrifice. But when you look at it philosophically, a far deeper and more powerful possibility emerges: to escape the curse of ownership. Perhaps the people of Cucuteni, Trypillia realized something we still struggle to accept. If you own something for too long, eventually, it begins to own you. A house, an inheritance, property. As these things accumulate, ambition is born, and ambition brings war and injustice. So they burned their cities to free themselves from the weight of the past. Every 70 years, they reset everything. In doing so, they taught future generations that nothing is permanent. For them, civilization was not about accumulating, it was about letting go. Today, we try to build immortal cities. We believe concrete, steel, and glass will make us last forever. We fill our museums with objects, our bank accounts with numbers. But when we look into the ashes of Cucuteni, Trypillia, we see ourselves reflected back. They lived for 2,000 years, longer than even the lifespan of the Roman Empire, without a single great war. And in just the last 100 years, how many times have we pushed the world to the edge of destruction? Perhaps they were not the primitive ones. Perhaps they tamed the dark instinct of possession within human nature, with fire. When the cities burned, it wasn't just mud brick and wood that turned to ash. Ambition burned, ego burned, class divisions crumbled into dust. They came from the earth, they shaped the earth, and when the time came, they knew how to return everything back to it. Around 2750 BCE, this culture suddenly vanished. Did the climate change? Were they invaded? We still do not know. There is only one thing we do know. They left behind no pyramids, no golden crowns, no heroic victories carved in stone, only layers of burned soil and ashes. It seems the first great cities of humanity were not meant to live forever. They were meant to remind us that one day, even the known world will disappear. So ask yourself, if everything you own were taken from you overnight, your home, your past, your memories, would there really be anything left called you? Let's meet in the comments.